This is a standing item that we do at each of the public policy meetings, typically right at the end. It's a software development update to basically share with you how we receive our strategic guidance inside the organization that defines what it is that we do in terms of development and site engineering, how that work is prioritized. We share some highlights since the last meeting 6 months ago and talk about some upcoming initiatives that we'll be working on between now and the next meeting. Our strategic guidance that we receive is actually from the ARIN strategic plan that's created by the ARIN Board of Trustees each year. They come together around the middle of the year and they create the strategic guidance for the organization and vision for the organization for the forward 2 years. In our current 2019-2020 strategic plan, we have a line in there that states that ARIN is to maintain, develop, and enhance functionality of ARIN services as sought by the users and supported by the membership. And further, inside as an organizational objective as defined by the board, that we continue to review and enhance online services, including making significant user interface improvements as guided by the user feedback, customer surveys, and customer suggestions. As a side note, inside the hallways, inside the ARIN offices, we actually have poster boards of the ARIN strategic plan and organizational objectives as defined by the board. It's on the wall in every hallway inside the organization. John Curran requires that every January we change that poster board to the next version. And any time that we're doing something inside the organization and there's any question for a member of the staff team, if it's something that fits inside the board's guidance, we can go look at the wall. And oftentimes, John will invite us to do that. We have strict instructions inside the organization never to engage in any activity that does not fit in one of the strategic guidance items provided by the board each year. Factors that influence our priorities inside the organization, of course, legal and regulatory. If there's some sort of legal item that's at issue that requires a change in our systems, that gets prioritized immediately. Same thing with regulatory items that might come down the pipe. Ratified policies by this community, something that you ratify here this week through your communications and through the advisory council, recommendation to the board, ratification by the board, that fast tracks it to our development process. Also things that you submit through ACSPs, board initiatives, and other items that you see here help us influence priorities and how we actually line up the work for you. Some project highlights since ARIN 42. Of course, you've already heard us say that we've launched a new website on March 2nd, but it was much more than simply a new website. Specifically in ARIN Online, everything was redesigned basically from the bottom up and streamlined to improve the user experience. That was tied to some ACSPs, but that was work that needed to be done aside from the ACSPs too, but we were able to close those ACSPs. There used to be, whenever we needed somebody to prove to us that they were a human, in one of the forms that they were filling out on the website, you had to do like a simple little math question. And we've replaced that with reCAPTCHA because we had received so many complaints about that. Added accessibility features for on-screen readers, for people with disabilities, and we've gotten some very good feedback about that since the deployment on March 2nd, actually. We've improved page display and responsiveness for mobile devices. We made sure the development of this product, the new website, the new ARIN Online, that everything works well on a small phone, a tablet, all the way up to a browser on a computer, and we put a lot of effort into that. And we implemented a combined site search / whois search on the main website that allows you to find things more easily, and also RDAP items related to that as part of an ACSP. More project highlights since ARIN 42. We've provided ARIN staff with the ability to open tickets on a customer's behalf, and the customer can choose to either accept or reject the ticket. We've had an ongoing customer service issue for years where customers have gone down the wrong path inside ARIN Online to get something done, and they find out some days later, and then it was upsetting to them that they had to start all over and go through the process again because they submitted the wrong ticket type. Or they might have had a ticket that expired because it went past the 90-day window. Staff was unable to reopen that ticket for them. They had to go open a new ticket themselves. There are a lot of other reasons why customers became frustrated with the fact that we couldn't open tickets on their behalf. So as of March 2nd, staff is now able to do that. In order for the ticket to be activated, however, the customer themselves has to either accept the ticket that we created on their behalf or reject it. If they reject it, nothing happens in the system with the ticket, and it's simply closed. We also did some Whois performance tuning. We have people are running scripts, people are doing all kinds of things, basically pulling Whois data, and we're constantly keeping up with the demand there, and we performance tune Whois code so that we can keep up with that and keep a good level of service open to everyone. And we also implemented the RDAP changes described here that we also put in the release notes for the deployment on March 2nd, and that you can also find in a blog post that engineering has done recently. So going forward, some of the forthcoming initiatives, as we described earlier today or yesterday, we really only work on one major project at a time inside of our engineering operation. And then we have some smaller and medium-sized things that we're doing at any given time. The big project now that we're done with ARIN Online and the web rebuild is the routing registry. And we're working on that for the next 18 months planned. Some of the smaller size projects, we're going to complete the final stage of a stateless implementation. We deployed most of that. Actually, just in this last March 2nd deployment. In fact, we've done several deployments over the past month since that March 2nd launch that were transparent to all of you. And at our May deployment that comes up here next month, after that, you shouldn't expect to see any outages of ARIN Online and our services for us to make deployments with some rare exceptions going forward. We're looking to add new point of contact types as part of the routing registry project and some ACSPs. We're looking at the DNS and the routing point of contact types. And we're continuing UX improvements in ARIN Online on the website always. We're continuing to improve those things based on feedback. You guys call us up on the phone. One of your customers calls us up on the phone, and we get a lot of data from them. We take and we process that in scrums every week. We talk about feedback every week that we're getting from the customers, and it has an impact on the active stories that are going into our sprints and the work that we're doing together to improve the services for you. So that will always continue. And of course, as always, reduction of technical debt. We rely on packages and services and software to run our services to you just like any other company does, and things go out of date, things go out of service, they get bugs, they have security issues, and we have to chase those down and knock those out on an ongoing basis to ensure that our services to you can remain current and very well delivered. So with that, that is the software development update, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Microphones are open for questions. Kevin? No, he was standing there at the time.
Kevin Berg, The Wire. So even without my glasses all of yesterday afternoon, not just kidding. The new website is wonderful on my mobile phone. It was a constant nuisance for us. The only suggestion is if you can make in the agenda all of the policy proposals linked, so it cuts down driving around.
Okay.
But it's been wonderful being able to go through things with people using the mobile phone, which is becoming the more norm, and not having to use the big, thick piece of timber.
Excellent, thank you.
Steve Wallace from Indiana University. Is there a mechanism, and if there's not, I guess this is a feature request, for administrative POC to require all the other POCs to use multi-factor authentication for the orgs for which that person is the administrator?
Not systematically currently, no. You would have to actually talk to your POCs and require that of them, but nothing systematically requires it. From what I hear you're saying, if I'm the admin point of contact, is there a way for me to force all other points of contact in the organization, but really what we're talking about is the web users behind those points of contact to use two-factor authentication to log into ARIN Online. Currently, that's not something that we have as a feature, but we would be happy to take that as a suggestion.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Any other items? All right, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Richard.